Welcome back to Shoot Around. Now, every week we get the opportunity to talk to some of the legends that we had in the PBA and this segment that we call Then and Now. We welcome to Shoot Around eight-time PBA champion, NIC Belasco. Thank you so much for joining us on Shoot Around.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We just want to know your basketball story. When did it all start out for you, and how did you fall in love with this sport?
Well, I think it started with baseball. Baseball was my first love in sports. I wanted to play for the San Francisco Giants. And then fourth grade, I was introduced to basketball. I was always one of the shortest guys on the team. I wasn't very coordinated. So it wasn't a great experience the first few years. Luckily, my second year in high school, I grew. So on the baseball team, I was the shortest. My first year of high school, my second year, I was the tallest.
Wow, that's a
So
leap.
once I grew and I was taller than everyone and I could jump higher than everyone, that's when they told me to play basketball instead of baseball. I was able to dunk and jump over guys, so that put me at a different level, and I started to like it.
When did you start considering transitioning into the Philippines?
During college, if you're tall and athletic in the NCAA, as you know, they find you really fast.
Yeah.
And so Bobby Rios was one of the main agents that used to bring imports here in the 90s and 2000s. So he found me and Andy Siegel. Andy was playing for New Orleans University, and I was playing for College of Notre Dame. So he's the one that really introduced us to the opportunity or the idea of playing in the Philippines. I had no idea that there was even a league here.
Yeah.
And then he started giving me tapes of Alvin Patrimonio and Marlu Aquino. And, I thought I'd be able to come in and dominate, as most Philams do. But when I got here, you're in for that rude awakening when you get a few elbows and you realize that these guys are real professionals that do this for a living and feed their families through basketball. So you realize really what level you are.
All rookies go through it. Who was the guy who welcomed you into the PBA with the first hard foul?
I would say Noli Loxin.
Oh.
Yeah, so the tank got me a few times. I've had some scars on my face because of him. We've had some big time fights on the court together. One good thing is that we're all older now, and we're all part of the Legends group.
Yeah.
So we're all good friends. We all hang out. We travel together. So even him and guys like Nelson Asaitono, who used to really give me hell on the basketball court, I think he averaged probably 40 points a game against me when he was playing for San Miguel. So those two guys gave me a hard time. I felt all the elbows and the tricky, dirty plays from them, which is what you're supposed to do to young players. So from dealing with them and dealing with some of my teammates in practice with Pop Cola, that's where I learned, as an older player, if a new guy comes in, we know what we're going to do. We're zeroing in on him. We're going to introduce him to the league the same way we were introduced. So it's nothing abnormal. That's just the way it goes.
Coming into the league, there was, at least in your time, an influx of Filipino-American basketball players. But, of course, with that came the other issues as well. For players who were pretending that they had Filipino blood. As legitimate Filipino-American, did you feel annoyed or did you feel bad that there were some people trying to take advantage of the opportunity?
Definitely, I felt really bad about it. Guys like me and Ali Peak, all of our friends, we worked so hard to get our papers together. We are legitimately Filipino, even though we grew up in the U.S. We still had the right qualifications. But because of guys trying to take advantage and giving Philams a bad name, we got interviewed or investigated by the Senate. We've been through deportation hearings many times during that short span. Yeah. We had to keep reproducing our paperwork. And that was pretty frustrating. And I've seen some legitimate guys not have a chance just because of that. John Ordonio is one of those guys. He ended up in a bad situation and had to leave. But I know his whole family, and they're Filipino, and he qualifies, but that was just the way the circumstance played out. But it's unfortunate, and I'm glad that we're past that. The rules and all the guidelines are a lot more, laid out.
Yeah.
so everyone knows what they have to do to be able to play.
Ultimately, you were able to play for the San Miguel Beermen, the winningest franchise in the league. What was it like playing alongside legends, wearing that unforgettable SMB jersey and winning championships with that team?
Well, I started with Pop Cola, and my coach my rookie year was Norman Black,
Yeah.
and he's a former San Miguel legend. So when I was traded to San Miguel, I knew right away that it was different. Ron Jacobs and Jong Yuchiko took me out to lunch, and they explained to me the history of the company and the team, which I didn't necessarily know about
Yeah.
at that time. And it spoiled me because we won 5 out of 6 championships right away as soon as I got there, and that was really my second year in the league. So the rest of my career after that, when I got traded to other teams, I was pretty frustrated because I could never find that combination of a winning franchise or a company and an ownership and a management that
Yeah.
supports the team the way San Miguel does, combined with the coaching staff that knows the X's and O's the way they did. I mean, they covered all the holes, combined with teammates like Olsen and Danny I
Yeah.
and Danny Siegel and Freddie Abuda, that they made it so easy. So you might go to another team and you might have a great coach like Tim Cohn, but you're going to be lacking in, you don't have all those
teammates,
things
yeah, yeah.
put
The other
together the way
things.
San Miguel did. So that spoiled me early. But I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate that I got to play there and win those championships. And I want to go into coaching now. So I take everything that I learned from that era and I'm playing for Tim Cohn and Norman Black. I was able to take it all. Hopefully someday I can give it back in a coaching manner.
You also had an international basketball stint playing for the West Sports Malaysia Dragons in the ASEAN Basketball League. How did that opportunity come about?
Well, I had some health issues in 2010. I was playing for Santa Lucia right before they turned it over to Morocco.
Uh-huh.
So that was the last Santa Lucia team. And I decided, I was really burnt out. I played 14 years straight before that without getting hurt. So Danny Siegel and Ildefonso, those guys would get hurt all the time. I was just filling in for those guys when they would go down. So I was burnt out. I was exhausted. My knee was injured. And I decided to shut it down. I said, maybe it's time for me to move back to the States. So I did that. And then when my knee got healthy and I started playing in San Francisco with the American guys, I started realizing that I could still do the
Yeah.
things that I wanted to do on the court. I can still shut them down defensively or whatever. So I started joking on Twitter about making a comeback to the PBA, although I didn't think it was a possibility. And Ariel Vanguardia, who was just the new head coach for the Malaysia Dragons, tweeted me back and asked if I was serious. So he said he was the new head coach of the Dragons and he needed a veteran big man Asian import. And it worked out from there. So I was back in basketball and I proved there that I could still play. And then Alaska picked me up for 2 more years.
And ultimately, of course, every career draws to a close, at least your professional basketball career. But you were able to transition into other opportunities in the PBA as well. Tell us about, getting the opportunity to be an assistant coach.
Well, it was Ariel Vanguardia
Yeah.
again. He became the head coach of Phoenix and I congratulated him. I said, that's awesome. It's nice to see you back in the PBA. And he said, hey, I'm going to call you this week. So sure enough, he called me. I got interviewed, and next thing you know, I was an assistant, which was great because coaching is the next phase for me. That's what I want to do. It was really nice. I was in charge of the big guys, which is Doug Kramer, Willie Wilson. These guys are all my friends. And then later we got Justin Chua. So I was able to, work them out, skills, teach them the different holes in the defense or different things to look out for on the court. And I enjoyed it. So going from there, I got hired as a general manager of the Alpha Land City Club, and I got really busy in that corporate structure. So I had to step back from coaching for a couple of years, but I might go back soon, hopefully.
And that is the next challenge for NIC Belasco, of course, juggling your corporate job with maybe a coaching job very soon.
Hopefully, that's the end goal. I think I'm built to be a head coach somewhere. I'm just waiting for an opportunity, really at any level. to prove it.
Nick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Be back for more here on Shoot Around.